Hey guys, my name is Chase, and I have been playing video games for pretty much my entire life. I remember being very young and trying to figure out how to play Super Mario 64 by myself. So over the past 20 plus years, I've obviously collected quite a few video games. And recently I found this container that is just full of handheld systems. So I thought it'd be fun to make this little video and just go through this container that is full of me and my two older brothers' handheld systems. Let's see what we can dig up in here. First of all, here's a Game Boy Advance in, I believe this was purple. It's missing the battery door on the back. This is a really interesting system just because, you know, when you think of handheld Nintendo systems, a lot of the times you'll think of like the original Game Boy or like the Game Boy Color. But even like the DS, the 3DS, they all had like this vertical sort of orientation that you would hold it. This is one of the very few Nintendo handheld systems that actually has like a horizontal orientation to it. I guess the only other one that I can think of off the top of my head is the Nintendo Switch. So the original Game Boy Advance, I just think is interesting just because, you know, it's like very different than I think the original Game Boys. Speaking of which, we also have another Game Boy Advance here. This one is like a clear one. I think these were my brothers. I don't remember playing this particular model of the Game Boy Advance. Anyway, speaking of which, here is the Game Boy Advance SP. This is the NES version, and yeah, it's quite beat up. There's a Quicksilver sticker on it. I mean, we were just kids. We didn't know the value of this stuff. But yeah, I definitely remember playing with this Game Boy Advance SP. The inside is like the NES controller. This really takes me back. I used to love playing my Game Boy Advance SP. It's funny to look back and see that this didn't even have a headphone jack. You had to press this little brightness button just to make the screen brighter or darker. So this one's awesome. I'm glad we have this one, albeit it is very like beaten up and there's a Quicksilver sticker on it. Then after that, we have the Game Boy Micro. Do you guys remember this one? I remember this because I actually remember going into GameStop with my mom and seeing this for the first time. This was around the time when technology was all about like getting smaller, you know, think like the iPod Nano or the iPod Shuffle. So this was very similar to that. Like it's a tiny little Game Boy. I can't imagine ever playing on a screen this tiny. Like it is very small. I actually have a little review video of the Game Boy Micro over on the Chase Yama channel if you guys want to go check that out. But this was a very weird system. It doesn't play Game Boy or Game Boy Color games, I believe. I think it only plays Game Boy Advance. And then speaking of which, we also have some faceplates for the Game Boy Micro. I don't know if these are like official from Nintendo. And also I think this is my brother's old Game Boy Micro because I remember, I think I had this like fire little cover on my Game Boy Micro. But yeah, they're just a bunch of little faceplates. It was really cool because you could take off the faceplate on the Game Boy Micro and switch it out. So that's the Game Boy Micro. And then after the Game Boy, we obviously had the Nintendo DS. This is the original Nintendo DS, the big, fat, chunky, ugly looking one. This is so interesting because it looks like a PDA, I guess. Like remember when sidekicks were really big and little touchscreen devices were like really popular? I remember seeing a lot of like PDA devices in my school's book fair and whatnot. But yeah, the original Nintendo DS kind of gives off that vibe. I remember getting this DS because it was Christmas and me as well as my two older brothers all got Nintendo DS's and Super Mario 64 DS. So this one is definitely memorable to me. And then after the Nintendo DS, we also had the Nintendo DS Lite. This one I know for sure is mine because of the Guitar Hero Tour stickers plastered all over the place. I really loved Guitar Hero when I was a kid. I've talked about this on the Chase Yama channel again, but Guitar Hero is what made me want to learn how to play the real guitar. So anything and everything that was a Guitar Hero product, I would like beg my mom to buy for me. But anyway, the Nintendo DS Lite, definitely a much needed upgrade from the original Nintendo DS. I think the DS Lite just looks so much more slick and clean, and, you know, just better overall. Granted, without all of the stupid Guitar Hero stickers. But honestly, so many memories with the Nintendo DS. You know, obviously PictoChat was a huge thing. And actually, speaking of Guitar Hero, I do have the Guitar Hero On Tour little accessory controller. So what you would do is pop this into the Game Boy cartridge like this. I think you put your hand through here like this, and then now you can press the buttons, and then you would use like a stylus or your finger, or they even had like a Guitar Hero guitar pick stylus, and you would just like, you know, slide on the screen like this and then play with your fingers. It was like really weird, but also a really innovative way to bring Guitar Hero to the Nintendo DS. And I personally loved it. Like I totally just ate it up. I was all about playing Guitar Hero on my Nintendo DS. Good times, good times. But those are all the handheld systems we have in this little container. It's fun to go through all of these old things that I remember having when I was a child. And now they all just sit in this container and collect dust. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. Feel free to check out another one of my videos below. For now, thank you so much for watching. My name is Chase and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.